I want to show you some of my pictures of orbs of light. Now I know you're going to think they don't look like an orb, but I can guarantee you these are orbs. And orbs are very flexible and they move in so many ways that they actually sometimes don't look like an orb. This one I think is really pretty. It looks kind of like a wave. And this one looks like a bag of bones or something. Sometimes they can get very geometrical looking. And on this one I wrote, light folds and unfolds and refolds over and over again. I take pictures of light. I take pictures of orbs. Light is orb-like in its movement. Light is filled with many things. They seem to me to be living things. This tube-like structure is one of them. And this I also see in light when just looking at light with the naked eye. See the tube-like thing that I show right here? These little tube-like things, I call them gossamer tubes of light, or GTLs for short. They float in front of me, and I can see them if I squint my eyes in such a way. They don't show up with normal viewing, but if I intend to see them, I can. And see, when an orb comes out of the light, it sometimes is on its side and it looks like a dinner plate or a coin or something like that. Now, as they move out from the light source, they leave a luminous trail for a little while. Then they begin to pick up colors, and the colors are what I call empty space. I think they're not in the light, but the light is showing them up to be in empty space. They also begin to multiply themselves. See, this photon began to stretch its body. It is going to separate and make of itself another orb-like self. Some orbs begin to look like a ribbon as they stretch and seem to just fall over one another. They stretch themselves, and not always like a ribbon, all straight and narrow, but curvy. Now this is hard to tell how many orbs one is looking at here, because orbs create more orbs from themselves. In this world, 2 and 2 doesn't equal 4. 2 and 2 might equal 2,000. And so light moves as a very flexible orb-like form, unlimited as to how many shapes and colors and patterns it can manifest. Light is the proverbial snake that eats its own tail. It seems to be a form of procreation for light. Sometimes the orb moves and looks like an earthworm in appearance. Light in its movement can look like almost anything. It is most amazing. The emerging light photon looks very simple when it first comes out. It is usually a teardrop shape. On its side completely, it can look like a coin. It keeps moving, and yet the movements depend on me or my camera, how it is aimed. Often I get colorful orbs, sometimes as soon as they emerge. I think I skipped one. Oh, well, I did. See this little thing right here, this tube-looking thing? That appeared in the orbs just one day. It was in the year 2013, and it was August the 13th. And it never came in the light after that. I've not noticed this particular form again. It looked like a ring with a setting. You can see this little shiny spot above it there. And then there's another ring in this one. And it just amazed me that it came in only on that one day. So I took several pictures of it, and I even noticed that it showed up in a spectrum of light that I call Harry's spectrum of light. Now that's Harry. Introducing Harry, the light creature. He shows up in so many of my pictures of orbs that I've come to think of him as a friend. First I thought he was a piece of debris, but now I'm pretty sure that's not what he is. In real time, the many white rings you see in this orb are coming and going. They are like bubbles that come to the surface and then go back down. Some people think that what I am capturing in my pictures is something called caustics. This picture is an example of that. Caustics can be very beautiful and have some similarities. Caustics is light shining through a glass object, casting its light on white paper. I get the most beautiful colors and patterns in my orb pictures. I see these colors with the naked eye when I look at light. We are surrounded by colors and patterns, and even, I think, light creatures. Orbs can twist in the middle like this one is doing. They come out and reproduce and often fold themselves like parchment of light. And this next few are pictures, let me go back. That's a picture of, I've been getting these bullseye rings in a lot of my orb pictures lately. And this is another thing that is happening. You see this portion I'm pointing to in the middle here? It looks like a grid, like a matte finish. It shows up usually in the purple parts of the orb. Further on I have a close-up of it. Many of the orbs have what looks like an outer coating on them. See, this one here shows that pretty well. I see this formation very often when looking at the light, this little spot of color there. And these white-looking lines often run through the orb. And many times I find structures like this in orbs. The colors mix up in so many ways in these orbs, which often are not within the bounds of a circle any longer. See, they lose their little definition of the line that you have seen in the other pictures, the line that goes around the edges. They don't mind any of the rules of stay within the lines. Now this is an orb that has something that looks like an X in it. I was listening to someone talk about seeing X's in their talk about quantum physics, only I didn't know exactly what he was talking about. But here's an X. I see them too. Orbs sometimes fan out like a fan. And they can become very colorful with neon-like colors. Now, this is unusual, I think. When I am filming the orbs, I run into an area of light that's coming from the source light, but the orb starts disappearing because the light that's coming from the source light has dark light coming from it. And when you run into this dark light that comes from the light, you don't see the orb. It finally will disappear, but I show a portion of it here where I haven't moved completely into the dark part. So dark light comes from light, but it's still light. And I get some spectacular pictures of colorful, very colorful goings on inside of the orb. When I get really close in, it's like a color explosion. And the colors change from one nanosecond to another. They seem to be living elements of the orbs, these colors. This orb moves like it were folded in half, like a taco shell. There will be a part 2 to this. Stay tuned. This is the Dove Lady. Over and out for now.